Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Combat Sports UK. I'm joined today by Jack Grant. Jack, I'll start off with a pretty stupid question, mate, really. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yourself?
Not bad, mate. The reason I say it's a stupid question, for those that don't know, haven't maybe seen this across your socials and whatnot, but you've had a bit of a disappointing start from fighting wise to 2024.
Yeah.
I've got your post up here, so I'll just quickly read it out, and then we'll kind of delve into what's actually gone on a little bit more. So your post states, so I've taken a short notice fight on UAE Warriors at 80 kilos, catch weight against an unbeaten opponent. I'm ready to board the plane in Manchester. Manager calls saying he's received a call and the opponent's pulled out with an injured hand. Head out to Abu Dhabi with the hope the promoter will find a late replacement. I'm offered two guys at heavier weights with better records. We can't agree, and the promoter says you'll be paid $100 per day. Management requests the purse payment from the promoter. That's then refused. Finally, a third opponent's offered. We accept, even though the weight's agreed at 85 kilos, so even at a heavier weight. Promoter messages this morning saying the opponent now wants 90 kilos. The situation's a mess, so it's not going to work out. Promoter insists that you get an early flight home and won't pay the 100 a day that they'd stated for the hotel and whatnot after today. You asked to stay and watch the event, but the promoter states that you can do so at your own expense for the hotel and everything outside the flight home. In all my years of fighting, I've never been treated this way. I step up to save a fight for them and get treated like shit. Anyone else had this from UAE Warriors? Apparently the matchmaker wants the cause, but surely the owners can't be happy with this level of treatment of fighters. Disappointment is an understatement.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bang on.
You should be. You wrote it.
Yeah.
I think that I want to dive into here, mate, is that you get this call, you're in Manchester, you're ready to board the plane. So you make a last-minute decision, basically. You're there, you're thinking, well, what do I do now? Where do I go? Do we jump on the flight? Do we head out anyway and hope we can get something organised, or do we just bin this off as a bad day? And you do what most fighters in your position would do, which is you head out there anyway and you hope that something can be resolved. You know, you show up on your, hope they can figure something out for you. So I suppose the first question is, how much do you regret jumping on the plane?
Well, my bags were already on the plane, so I was a little bit limited to, returning home. But yeah, I just went out there hoping they could replace the match. Me and Owen obviously went there, and we just decided we'll just train. Mm-hmm. So we'll just use there's a full matted out area. We'll just get some training in, and obviously if they can come up with a replacement, then perfect. But if not, we'll have a little bit of time away from our gyms, and we'll just we'll get some hard training in. So
yeah, so obviously at that point you've headed out there. They turn around and they say, right, we can potentially get you these two fights. These guys have both got better records, both, maybe more experienced and more talented. It's going to be up at a heavier weight as well. So obviously at that point, I'm assuming the comeback from you was, okay, that's fine. But, is it about the purse there in regards to...
Well, that's what I wanted. So, and I felt like they was treating me a little bit like I'm scared to fight people, which is absolutely ridiculous. With a full camp, I'll fight anyone, which everybody knows that knows me and follows me. Yeah. I've never shied away from any kind of challenge. But, just the way the traitors in general was just wild, talking to me. I felt like going in his office, to be honest, saying, well, why didn't you fight me then? The way he was speaking to me, I was getting these voice notes relayed to me, and I just couldn't believe the way he was coming out with things. But he wasn't willing to bump up the purse, which is ridiculous. So I'm going to take a harder fight on even more short notice. It's like, fucking hell, I went there to save their card. I didn't ever get offered one fight at the right weight. I got offered welterweights, but out of season welterweights,
Yeah.
So it's it's two different weight categories. But
So you get
it's a tough
two extra guys. You get offered the 100 a day. You can't agree on the purse for the reasons we've just discussed. A third opponent then gets offered, which you accept, even though it's at 85 kilos. And then you get a message saying actually it's going up to 90 now. At this point,
yeah,
even starting to think you're just pissing me
yeah. Well,
about.
this means that he could cut 5 kilo to make 90 kilo, which means he could come in at 98 kilo. There's a reason for weight categories. At the end of the day, like, you know, an unrealistic, you know, scenario by me, but like, there's a reason that I can't fight a Francis Ngannou.
Yep.
I fucking die. It's you know, like the old saying, "Don't punch above your weight."
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous that and then they basically say that I refused the replacement matches, so they're not paying me. But there was never a replacement match at my weight.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Well, I think that's the thing that stands out for me. And then second of all, I suppose looking at this, I mean, at that point where they've talked about the 90 kilos and you and your team have basically said no, but no, that's not happening for obvious reasons. Do you think that's the point where they kind of pull the tie and say, right, okay, you're not willing to work with us, and that's their approach on this?
Yeah, and the craziest thing is
fights, and you've turned them all down, basically.
Yeah, the craziest thing is as well is like our flight was meant to return on the Sunday. Obviously, the fight couldn't go down. They couldn't get me a suitable opponent at the right weight. And when I did agree to a 5 kilo difference in weight, you know, it then got even more ridiculous. And then they wanted it at 90 kilo, which is just not realistic at all. You know, so they send us home, which means they paid for a new flight to send us home on the Thursday. They also said if I want to stay, I can leave whenever I like. They'll pay for the flight, but it'll be at my own expense, which is ridiculous. So we weren't even able to like watch the show or get a few days extra training, and it was just a wild situation.
So there was no offer of, sorry that this has turned out this way. Here's some tickets comped for the fight. Come and enjoy the stuff, and we'll get you your flight home on the Sunday.
Yeah. And then, I did a press. They made us all go to a big press conference. I wasn't on the stage for the press conference, but we got on this press conference thing, wasting more of our time. I went back. They took bloods, wasting more of my time. Technically, how does that not work?
Yeah.
And now they're refusing to pay me.
I mean,
I've never known I like it.
It's like you say, mate. I mean, your record kind of speaks for itself in regards to who you're willing to step up and fight. There's some decent names on there, some big names on there. I mean, the one that obviously would stand out to most looking at that would be the Ian Gary one. And it's when you look at this and you kind of think, is it more frustrating when you're the kind of person that will take those fights to kind of be tarnished as being somebody that is not taking fights?
Yeah, I feel like it was quite like undermining, like talking to me like I'm scared of opponents or like I'm turning down fights. I took this fight on short notice against an unbeaten lad at 80 kilo. I was prepped to make the weight of 80 kilo, which is heavier than my actual weight category anyway. And then it starts going up to 85, and then it goes up to 90. Mm-hmm. It's like, how is that realistic? I did my job. I turned up there, ready to fight. My opponent unfortunately pulled out, which I think that's a little bit suspect as well. I think he genuinely didn't want it. I think you see the experience difference, and I think he flaked out, if I'm honest. But it is what it is. I just wish they'd have given me my pace without my win bonus.
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, we saw on kind of a higher level with the UFC and Stephen Thompson, we kind of saw that same sort of situation, didn't we? Where he turned up to make the fight with Michel Pereira. We saw obviously Pereira failed to make weight, and then there was big talk about Wonderboy not getting his side of the show bonus, which there was kind of public outrage on that. It was obviously it's the UFC. There's more eyes on it, etc. But this is the same sort of thing, really. You've turned up. You're there. You're willing. You've accepted replacement opponents at certain weights. You're willing to make weight. So you've done your job. Like you said, you've done the blood. You've done everything else. So you should be getting at least kind of your show money, for want of a better. And you're not even asking for the win bonus. You're just asking to kind of be reimbursed for your time and the fact that, now you've got to look elsewhere and start putting other plans in for a new fight.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're just being unrealistic about the situation. It's like, it's like they're forgetting that I tried to save their fight. Like, I took this on short notice. I don't have to. I'm not a journeyman.
Yeah.
I'm I'm one of the top fighters from this way on, and they're just treating me with a lot of disrespect, to be honest. It's frustrating. It is frustrating. But I just feel like I'm in a situation. It's like, well, what can you do? Like, I just hope that the people that are, higher up on the organization, not this shitty promoter, can actually do something about it. Because clearly, he has absolutely no respect for me or fighters in general.
Yeah.
Like, I turned up, done my job. I've flown from England to Abu Dhabi. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? This sport, things go wrong. People get injured. People miss weight. This is the sort of thing we see on a regular basis. But you just expect to be shown that little bit of respect for your part in it, and for whether it's the promoter, whether it's an event coordinator, whoever it might be. I mean, what in your eyes would have been a suitable kind of outcome for this? Would it have been, stick around, tickets, come and watch the fights, come and do whatever else, take your show money and jump on the plane home on the Sunday?
Yeah, definitely. I think that would have been more than reasonable. And also, like, I'd have happily fought someone if they could have got someone the exact same weight, which was unrealistic because it was that short notice. Yeah, if they could have like, aligned all those things and made it fair, I'd have stepped in, but they didn't. They didn't want to up the wage. They wanted to give me harder opponents, heavier opponents. It's like, what do you expect me to do there?
So for you, UAE Warriors, is it a no-go moving forward, or is it a case of kind of one individual that you felt kind of just tarnished them a little bit as well? I mean, obviously you don't want to necessarily go out and slag off an organization if you potentially want to fight for them down the line, but was it a case of this one person you were dealing with, or as an organization, do you just think it's, not that professional?
Well, I definitely don't know the organization as a whole. I'm fair in saying that. I don't like the way they treat me. And all the staff were brilliant. Like, they all agreed with me. They was all in absolute shock that I wasn't getting my wage. In fact, they were saying, "Oh no, you should get your wage." So I started thinking, well, I'm probably in with a chance here of receiving my wage.
Yeah.
And then, they'll probably be just as shocked as me. So, I'm not knocking the staff, I'm not knocking the promotion, but I am knocking the promoter a little bit. I feel like he's handled this ridiculous. And, the way he's sort of like demeaned me a little bit, like as if I'm scared to take fights. It's offensive when you've had as many fights as me.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, in my head, I just think, I'll tell you what then, you take it against me.
Yeah.
Like the way you're treating me, that's how realistic his replacement matches were.
Yeah. And like you said as well, I mean, we're not talking about you being a 4-0 kind of novice pro at this stage. You've been around, you've fought for a number of different organizations. Some of the very best on these shores and elsewhere. It's not like, you've kind of gone in as a bit fresh-faced and not really sure how things work. You're experienced. You've been doing this for a long time now. So for you to be coming out and making these statements of, you've never been treated like this by anybody before, it's a big statement, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. Like, I just know, like, you can never fully know for sure, but I know that if I was on any of those other promotions, that I've fought for, the big promotions that I've fought for, I know they would have paid me should it be the same circumstance.
Yeah.
I feel so confident in the fact that they would have paid me
Yeah.
in those same circumstances. You know, it's like I don't know what more I have to do. It's like, you know, I went there and I did my job, and then now they just want to avoid paying me. They're not struggling for money on that show.
No.
You
No,
know,
I think
like,
that I think the thing is, mate, the reason we kind of wanted to get you on and get you to have a chat with us about this was because we obviously saw the post, and this probably happens a lot more than people will realize. You know,
yeah. Well, there was someone else on the card, right?
right?
And I've seen he took a fight, right? There was also saying they're not going to pay him.
Okay.
He took a fight. The poor lad got smashed. Like,
How do
because
they not?
because obviously he's felt pressured that if he doesn't take this replacement match, it was totally unprepared for. Anyway, he got absolutely dominated apparently. So, you know, what is this about?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we wanted to get you on and have a chat with you, mate, because we want to. At the end of the day, you know, fighters in general, you know, so there's a number of promotions that will treat fighters particularly well, and there's a number of promotions out there, as you will know yourself from coming up in this game, that there are some out there that are just greedy, that take
Yeah.
advantage, that kind of take the piss a bit. And I think in situations like this where that's what's happened, it needs calling out. And I think the only reason we don't see more of it is because people don't do necessarily what you've done, which is kind of go to your socials and call it out.
Yeah. Which they was upset about, asking my manager to ask me to remove it. You know, my manager said, "Look, he's a grown man. He can do what he wants. You know, he's upset and he's got a right to say it. You know."
Well, that was going to be my
so
next question. So they reached out to say, can he take that down? Because obviously it's
yeah,
kind of defamatory to them.
yeah. You know, come tell me to fucking take it down. It's a joke. You
Yeah.
know, I'm literally like, I'm out of pocket. I
So
went to go work, and they put me out of pocket. You know,
yeah,
I had to leave my gym. You know, make different arrangements. My friend who came with me, Owen's like, you know, doing seminars all over. He's cancelled seminars for this. Like, you know, we need reimbursing. Really,
yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and you know the fact that they've reached out and asked you to take it down. I mean, it's a little bit late after the fact, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
treat the fighters on your promotion right in the first place, and they won't have any reason to take to social media. And it's, you know, it's not like you've been out there and you've decided I'm not working with them, I'm not compromising on anything. Like you said, you've sat down, you've had talks about numerous different opponents and numerous different weight classes, you know, one of which you accepted until
yeah.
told that it's going to be an even higher weight now. So you've kind of done your bit, and it's just it needs to be called out for what it is, mate, really.
And I've never ever slagged off shows. I've never done that. You know, there's some shows where, you know, I feel like things could have been better, but
Yeah.
I knew what I was in for, and I've never took to media over this. I'm not like that. Like, I just think you should stick to the deal, you know, and I feel like they've breached that really.
Yeah.
So it was nice to go on social media and just like tell the truth, and also like the way that other fighters have been backing me and sharing that post. I
Yeah.
just think everyone sticking together is a really big thing with stuff like this, and I do appreciate all those that shared it and tagged the show,
Yeah.
because, you know, they should expose it, and I feel like when shows treat fighters bad, we should all get behind it and you know, unfollow them or continue to share and educate other people of what you could be in for with that
Yeah.
particular show. And in this case, it's not looked good at all.
No, I think the education part, like you just said, there is a big one. You know, for fighters that might find themselves in a similar circumstance to you. You know, a contract comes across the desk for a fight with UAE Warriors, they might have a second thought about it, or make sure there's sort of guarantees put in there in future. And it's just a case of everyone pulling together really and making sure that doesn't happen to anybody else. Obviously, you've caught the
Especially
shit
if
end of
they're
this
a
thing.
fighter with a lesser record. you know, because sometimes when you are a little bit newer to the sport, you daren't voice up. Like, you know, I've been around this like a long time now, so you know, I'm not as bothered about like backlash and stuff like that. But like, I know when you're early doors fighting, you know, you're willing to take shitter paces. You're willing to like, well, you're willing to take shit from shows like this because you don't really know how it's going to affect you career wise. But I do believe like fighters sticking together and outing people that do treat people wrong is really important. And I do appreciate all the support that everyone's been sharing my thing. You know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, we're going to continue to share this. We're going to put it out on our YouTube, across our social media as well, and again, just help kind of get this message out there a little bit, you know, as far as
Yeah.
we can do. Obviously, this is something that's happened now. It's kind of done. But for you, what's next? When are you looking to get back out? Has anybody reached out with any potential, you know, dates coming up for you or anything like that?
Yeah, I've actually been offered a really big fight. I can't really announce too much on it at the minute, but it's a really big one on a really big stage, and yeah, it's just very exciting. So just stay tuned. Hopefully, I'll be able to announce that soon. And yeah, I feel like this off a big win with this one, I feel like it's going to put me in a good place.
Good stuff. Well, listen, Jack, thanks for joining us, mate. We'll look forward to the announcement, and hopefully we can kind of just put this in the rear view mirror a little bit as a bit of a shit situation that's kind of run course. Make everyone aware. Let's talk about it, put it out there. But hopefully you're moving on to bigger and better things now, mate.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just hoping that somebody higher up on the show can recognise the fault of it. In which case, you know, I'd take my post down. I'm not out there to dig this show. I just want what's right, and hopefully they can make it right, and we can move on and forget about it.
Yeah. No, good stuff. Right, Jack. Thanks very much for that, mate. We'll
Cheers,
we'll end
mate.
it
Thank
there.
you. Thank
Thank you,
you.
buddy.